The most important thing is to try and inspire people so that they can be great in whatever they want to do. Kobe Bryant. Yo, guys, what is going on? It is bright and early on Monday, August 24th. Today's a big day in the sports world. Of course, it is Kobe Bryant Day, 8/24. Yesterday was his birthday. Happy belated to the GOAT, Kobe Bryant. So we're going to be dedicating this week to him. The specific episode is not related to his legacy, but we're keeping in mind as we go with all these episodes. Keshav, going to talk about what it is about.
Yeah, sure. So today we are not going to be doing a traditional one-game breakdown, but rather we are all going to be ranking our three favorite NFL games and each of our three favorite NFL games. And this will be in the past decade, obviously. So many of these games may sound familiar to you guys, some really popular playoff games. We each have our own Niners games because, we are all Niners fans, right? And we're just going to be going through each of these and we'll just be discussing them a little bit. And I hope you guys enjoy. So, Chirag, you want to start your first pick? Oh.
So we have two Niners fans, at least two Niners fans. We're not exactly. We have an ambiguous third.
We don't know about Chirag.
I'm a Niners fan. I'm a Niners fan.
So Chirag is actually a Texans fan.
No, I have a Niners. I'm a Niners fan. I have a signed Kaepernick jersey with Dante Pettis.
That doesn't make you a Niners fan.
And Richie James, bro. Richie James too.
Okay, I mean, all right, whatever you want to say, man.
Yeah. I also have a Kaepernick poster.
You having a poster doesn't mean you like the guy. We also gave you a Kemba Walker poster.
Yeah.
I never hung that up. Kaepernick was on my wall for
Is
years.
it still on your wall?
What do you mean wall?
No.
What happened?
Oh, it's still not on your wall, huh? Okay. Wow.
I don't have space,
Oh, you don't have space for Kaepernick. Oh, okay.
I mean, you can have.
Wait, what's on your wall right now?
I have a Snoop Dogg and Tupac poster.
So is okay, fine. All right, I'm not gonna.
All right. Anyway.
All right. Yeah. Sure.
So let's start off with my one of my favorite games. This one was you might not think of it, but it was the 2018 wild card game between the Titans and the Chiefs. Now, when you look at this time, both these teams, weren't very, not very exciting, I'd say. The Chiefs, obviously, they had Alex Smith, great offense. Titans were in Mariota at quarterback. And we know that he got benched last season for Ryan Tannehill. But, they still have Derrick Henry, Delaney Walker, Corey Davis. It was a decent team. But, to start off Mamba week, I thought this game was one of the craziest finishes with Mariota, passing for 2 TDs, rushing for a TD, and then even catching his own deflected pass for a touchdown. And that doesn't scream out Mamba mentality. I don't know what does. But yeah, so it was a crazy game. There were some amazing calls. At the end, I don't know if Keisha can put this clip in, but the reporter or the commentator said that he just went crazy when the Titans got one of the touchdowns. His voice was cracking. It was just it was amazing to see.
Yeah, sounded like he was going through puberty. Let's just be honest here. It was really.
Do you know who the commentator was that game?
I forgot his name. Let me search it up real quick.
He's really old. So it was just just to see that youthful energy once again just really warmed your heart.
It's one of those games where you kind of remember where you were, right? Like, where were you when you were watching this game?
I was actually watching it in my parents' room.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a very exciting moment. I was sitting on the bed. My dad was sitting on the couch. We just watched the game.
Shit.
It was Joe Tessitore, I think.
Oh, Joe Tessitore, yeah.
Was it Joe Tessitore? Wait, it may be a different guy, but it doesn't matter. All ESPN commentators have, for the past 3 years been not the greatest, but
if you can try throwing it up, then they'll see who it is.
Okay.
Unless you want, yeah.
I think the climax of this game was when Mariota caught his own pass. It was just I haven't seen that in football, especially in a game that where it actually matters is a wild card game. Both these teams are trying to make it to the next round. And to see Mariota, put his team on his back, just amazing to see. But,
and I think the interesting thing too, this was Alex Smith's final game. Is that true?
As a Chief?
Yeah, I think.
Is that true?
Wait, yeah. Yeah, it
Pretty,
is.
Is it?
that's true.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
2017,
It is. It is.
2018. Right. It's
Yeah, because Mahomes started in 2018.
Amazing game too. 264 yards, 2 TDs. He was 24 for 33. Just a great game overall.
For Marcus?
No,
Or
for
are you talking about Alex?
Alex Ben.
No, Alex is going to be a common theme,
He's
or at
gonna-
least in 2 of the 9 games we end up talking about. I guess we should move on because we got a lot of games to talk about.
Yeah.
I'll go next, and I'll start off with, I'm not really ranking these games, but these are just 3 of my favorite, or my 3 favorite, not in any order. And I'll start off with kind of an obscure one, but it is very memorable, at least in my eyes. 2015 Week 8, Saints versus Giants, and the final score of this game, 52-49. Right, so immediately off the bat, you're like, what the hell happened in this game? 7 touchdowns for both sides. No. 7 touchdowns for both sides plus a field goal. But I think the craziest thing here, just taking a look at the box score 5 years later, almost 5 years later, is still really, really crazy to look at. Drew Brees. This is where it gets insane. 39 completions, 50 attempts for 505 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And you could even make the argument that he was outplayed by his counterpart, Eli Manning. Eli was 30 of 41 for 350 yards, and he had 6 touchdowns without turning the ball over. Eli Manning has had a lot of seasons where he turns the ball over 16 to 20 times. I don't know about this season in particular. I was just looking at this game. But this was clearly an anomaly. He's never had a game like this. And in Drew Brees, 7 touchdowns, obviously, no one's ever topped 7, I believe, right? Then you even look at the receivers, obviously, with that many touchdowns, 13 through the air. Crazy stat lines. OBJ, 8 catches, 130 yards, and 3 touchdowns. For you fantasy football guys out there, in a PPR league, that's 39 fantasy points. And that's honestly, I would expect more from a guy like that in a game with this many touchdowns. And then we're looking at guys like Dwayne Harris had 2 touchdowns for the Giants. It's like, well, who the hell is Dwayne Harris? Why is he scoring 2 touchdowns? He's a special teamer. He's a kick returner. And then other thing, the Saints had 5 different guys score at least 1 receiving touchdown. So the list kind of keeps going on, and the game ends up ending in a kind of a weird manner. Kai Forbath hits a game-winning field goal as time expired. But really weird game, record-setting 13 passing touchdowns that could get topped, I guess, in this passing climate, but it's still the record. It's really crazy in my opinion.
Yeah. No, it seems the Giants have lost this season, especially. They lost another really close, crazy game that season against the Panthers. They were down 35-7. Eli Manning in another crazy game. They lost 38-35. The Giants seem to lose these close ones.
Yeah. I mean, even the implications of this game didn't really matter a whole lot. The Saints finished 7-9. The Giants were 6-10. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the reasons, right? You're not going to remember this game. When we're looking at most of the games that we're going to talk about today, they're playoff games or late season contests with big time implications. But this was just kind of a random 101-point game. Like, it just came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. I don't know where the Giants.
You love to see it. You love to see it.
Yeah, and this was a fun
two
game.
Teams that they're not really playing for much, but they still, playing at a high level. Just love. That's what football is,
Yeah, it wasn't like a shit show, but it was 2 teams that ended up after this game. They're both 4-4, so it's like they're both fine, but this was not a year that either Chiefs fans Saints fans or Giants fans are going to remember.
Yeah.
And then Keshav?
Yeah, so the first game I'd like to talk about, I think some people may remember this one, but it's the Mile High Miracle. So this is the 2013 playoffs, 2012-2013 season. In Ray Lewis's final season, Ravens versus the Broncos. And this was a divisional round game. The Broncos were the number 1 seed. They were really good that year, led by Peyton Manning and Demaryius Thomas, a bunch of great guys. And the Ravens were clear underdogs in this game. And what made this game really memorable was that down the stretch, the Ravens were down 7 with around less than a minute remaining in their own territory, deep in their own territory. And Joe Flacco throws this bomb to Jacoby Jones. And if the Broncos safety, it's like a big thing. He got cut right after, I think, in this
TJ Ward, right?
Was that it?
Was it TJ Ward?
I'm not sure, but can you look at the name real quick? Broncos?
Yeah, you can keep talking. I'll
Okay.
figure it out.
But yeah, so he completely botched basically the coverage. He came down when he shouldn't have. He could have just stayed deep and stopped that play. But then Jacoby Jones got behind him, caught that pass, tied the game. And what's even crazier is that this game didn't just end in OT after Jacoby Jones made that catch in regulation. It went to double OT, one of the first double OT playoff game of all time. And it ended with a game-winning Justin Tucker field goal. I'm pretty sure it was Justin Tucker. Yeah. And, classic Justin Tucker doing Justin Tucker things. But, I remember this game, like this is another, where were you at this time game, because this game was right before another game that maybe, talked about in a bit, but like the Niners-Packers divisional game, right? And it was like big implications in this game, and you're really excited for the next game, but this game was just insane, right? It featured yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll quickly mention. So it was actually not TJ Ward. I was way off on that. TJ Ward joined the team in 2014. It was Raheem Moore. Raheem Moore played until 2014 with this team, and he was also a second-round pick just like in 2011. Mm-hmm. So there was high expectations for him, and didn't end up working out. Yeah, and he actually currently is on the DC. Oh no, he's on the what is the DC Defenders?
Sounds like an arena football team.
It's in the XFL, but then that's gone.
Oh wow,
gone. It's over. So he lost his job. Yeah, you can keep talking.
But overall, it was just a great game because this eventually led to the Ravens-Niners Super Bowl, which we don't like to talk about here, but the Ravens were an underdog at the time. Ray Lewis last season. Joe Flacco was not an elite quarterback, so it was really surprising to see. The Broncos were the favorite in the AFC. So yeah, just an overall great game. And I think we can move on to Chirag's second game that he'd like to talk about.
Before we move on, was this the game where they at the end of the first OT they just let the clock run out and then they kicked the field goal at the start of the second?
Wait, I think I think the Ravens had the ball at the time. They let the clock run out and then they still had possession. I think they did a couple more plays and then kicked a field goal.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it went to double OT.
Yeah, I remember this game.
Yeah, and it was right before that Niners-Packers divisional game. So it's like the Niners-Packers divisional game was going on at the time, and then that happened. Yeah. Crazy.
So I guess I'll talk about this Niners-Packers divisional game then. 2013. This, as a Niners fan, this is one of the best seasons other than last season. Coming into the season, we had Colin Kaepernick as our quarterback, and actually not coming.
Alex, midway through the season.
Midway through.
Yeah.
With a lot of doubt, Colin Kaepernick came in. Nowadays, he's known for, civil rights. But at this time, he was just a young quarterback. I remember I was talking about him with, I think, Rohit and someone else. He was a 6'7". Is he 6'7"?
No, bro. What are you?
6'5".
What?
Right.
You're getting confused with Paxton Lynch.
Wait, he was like 6'5". Just like hella skitty. I was like, who is this guy? And then midway through the season, he becomes our starting quarterback, and he just does amazing things. And we saw some of that this game for the first time. He went off for 181 rushing yards for 2 TDs. And he had one crazy run where he ran down the field, outran everybody on the Packers, and he did the obvious kiss to the tattoos. It was an amazing moment.
It was that read option, man. That read option was so deadly. Oh my god.
This is one of the first seasons where we saw these mobile quarterbacks, conduct these read options so confidently. So it was just great to see Colin Kaepernick. Also, good passing game, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only had 1 sack, which was good. Aaron Rodgers had a good game as well, but the Niners outplayed them. Obviously, Frank Gore showed up. It was just one of my favorite games as a Niners fan. To the end, it was just a very unique win as well, with Colin Kaepernick having 2 rushing touchdowns. So that's why it's one of my favorite games. Where were you guys when you watched this game? As Niners fans, this is a pivotal moment.
Same place where I was watching that Ravens Broncos game. I was with a family friend actually. So a family
Oh,
friend.
right. Was it a nooch?
No, not a nudge. You don't know him. It was like him and his sister were there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was a fun game. Very fun game.
So I was at my friend's house. I think there was a dinner party. So there was like a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people over at my friend's house. But luckily the game was on the TV. And yeah, absolutely remember that big run. Unforgettable moment. What year was this exactly? I always get my years confused.
2013.
2013. Okay. So we
This
were
is
all
fifth
10.
grade.
We were in fifth grade, bro. Fifth grade. Good time.
Yeah, I remember this. I was at a family friend's house as well. It was just.
That's crazy.
I remember I was watching with my dad, and then we left to a family friend's house after the game. Just an amazing,
neighbor, actually.
amazing time.
You know, the common theme, family friends. You know, they're always there for you.
Always there.
I mean, speaking of family friends, I just quick thing to talk about. So it's Kobe week, right? It's Mamba week, and you used to see a lot of pictures of Pau Gasol and his wife like hanging out with the family, bro. Like great family friends.
You love to see
It's that Kobe connection, bro. It's
never
I
forget
don't really
your
have a whole
family
lot to
friends,
say
you know?
about it, but
Never forget your family friends.
because your family friends are your family, right?
Exactly. You spend all the greatest moments. You know, for us, they've been these games. You always spend these moments with your family friends. You know, that's what you remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what you remember.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, I will note that it's probably not the same thing with these more recent games. That was 2013, but I think my final game is 2018. We have another 2018 Titans Chiefs. Like these are all we spent them at home, so I haven't watched a whole lot of family friends recently.
Yeah. It's different times, you know.
Yeah.
Especially that season as a Niners fan. I definitely watched a lot of games, you know, with friends, family. It is an exciting time.
Friends, family, friends. You know, through it all.
That's how it is.
The 24 ball game until the very end, or was it 28, 24?
Yeah, no, the Falcons were down 24-27. They just recovered an onside kick, and then
so they were threatening to score or at least tie, possibly win the game, and this was a shitty Falcons team. This gives me kind of flashbacks to week 16 this year, where Niners came to San Francisco or to Santa Clara and pulled off an upset there, late game upset. This was one that went in the Niners' favor. Matty Ice didn't come through, but yeah, Bowman with the pick six. It was just a memorable game. If you're a Niners fan, you'll really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Even if you're a Falcons fan, I feel like that emotion in a season that didn't mean a whole lot. It was still fun to watch, I'm sure.
No, this was a season where I think this was a game the Niners I think were like 10-4. They had to win this game to clinch, and you know it was a really clutch win to say the least, right? And I think another thing that you noticed from this game is that the year before the year before the Niners had played, the year before the Niners had played the Falcons in the NFC Championship, and actually the Falcons were threatening to score 28-24 in the Niners territory, and who made the play at the end of the day? Navarro Bowman on a fourth down broke it up. That's what led us to the Super Bowl. You know, Navarro Bowman.
So a lot of parallels. 28-24 that game, 27-24 at the end of this one, near the end of this one.
Yeah, I think during this game, I think I actually wrote it. I think we watched this together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it was like with like Press and like I don't know.
Was this at my house?
I think it was either yours or Press's house, but
yeah.
It was just a great moment because the emotion to bring it back to the end zone. The fans were this is the last time they could cheer Candlestick in the regular season, obviously, but it was just a great moment as a Niners fan. Every time I pass by that spot where Candlestick is, I never forget that stadium that stood up there.
Did you ever go to a game?
I went to a preseason game actually. Niners Vikings.
I went to that in
I've never gone to Candlestick.
Niners Steelers Monday Night Football. First year we made the playoffs in a while.
Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah, but whenever I drive by there, there's still a sign that says I think there's a road Candlestick Road or something.
Yeah.
But it's been years since the stadium has been demolished.
Yeah. Really quickly though, I just wanted, before Keshav, you wanted to talk about your game. I just wanted to look at some of the really quickly the weird stats in this game. This is not what made the game memorable, but it is interesting to look at. The Niners, so Kaepernick only attempted 21 passes, and only 4 Niners had receptions. So Michael Crabtree and Anquan Boldin had 5 and 6 respectively. Then it was Frank Gore and Kasim Osgood, who was a special teamer, I believe. Well, each had 1 catch. So that was it. 4 guys. But for the Falcons, they had 1, 2, 3, 4. They had 8 guys have receptions, so twice as many. It's kind of both of these teams, how they played in 2013, how they played in 2019. Just kind of interesting to look at. Yeah, he's still slinging it, and the Niners different everybody, but they're still run heavy and defense, etc.
Just a great time to be a Niners fan.
Yeah. I think that's game.
Why do
Crazy.
you-
He always talks about it.
SCU.
Oh,
SCU.
Yeah, I think he was at
he was at the pizza one.
Stanford. He was at Stanford. Or no, James Logan.
Oh.
James Logan.
Which one was the
James
pizza one?
Logan. Oh wow.
Yeah, James Logan was like the January one. Remember, it was like
Wait, that was the pizza one, right?
No, which
Yeah.
one? Yeah, was that the pizza one?
that was the pizza one. Yeah, that was the
Oh,
pizza.
Wow.
nice.
So he was selling pizza.
He was selling pizza at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
And Keshav, just quickly tell them like how much did he make?
He made a profit. A decent amount of
I
money.
mean, I hope he made a profit.
$23.
I don't
Yeah,
think it was worth the cost.
He got kind of scolded by the debate coach, but you have to do what you have to do. It's tough for
Yeah, bro.
it happens.
I forgot what were we talking about again? Oh yeah, so we finished
Where
up.
were you?
Oh,
Where-
I was.
okay.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
I was-
I was just saying what segment we were
Jesus.
finishing, you know?
All right, we can go to the next
Alright.
game.
All right. So, I'm gonna do my last game. Seattle Packers, 2015.
It sounds like
Uh,
Seattle Packers, because never mind.
Seattle versus the Packers.
Yeah.
This is a NFC Championship, so huge game. And this is one of the I don't want to say best finishes because it's the Seahawks, so can't give them that much credit. But this game started off 16-0 until the third quarter. So the Packers went up 16-0, obviously, and then with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, the Seahawks attempted a fake. It was a fake kick, right?
Fake field goal.
Fake field goal, and
Yeah.
then they got a 19-yard touchdown.
Was John Ryan?
For their was John Ryan for their first score of the day. So that kept the score at that point was 16-7. Then with going into the fourth quarter, with 10 minutes and 53 seconds, Mason Crosby hit another field goal, so it was 19-7. And this was until 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So they're down 12 minutes. Basically 5 minutes to go, I believe. That was when they started their drive. So they first scored a touchdown. Russell Wilson rushed the ball in. Then they got a defensive stop, got the ball back. Marshawn Lynch, 24-yard rush with 1:25 left.
No, it
Crazy.
wasn't. It wasn't a defensive stop. It was that onside kick.
kick?
Onside.
Was it an onside kick?
So wait, remember so what happened was I think Brandon Bostic jumped for the ball when Jordy Nelson was supposed to get it.
Oh yeah.
And then Brandon Bostic got cut right after because he made the mistake. He fumbled the ball, and then the Seahawks recovered. That's why it was so controversial too. If he just let Jordy Nelson get that, who's a much better receiver, who has much better hands, the Packers would have won that game.
Yeah.
Bro, we don't hate Brandon Boston.
Yeah.
We don't hate Brandon Boston.
You don't hate Brandon Bostic.
Yeah, it should happen.
Yeah.
And obviously the past season they changed the onside rules. So at this time, an onside kick had a higher chance. It was obviously still a lot harder, but at this time, onside kicks had a higher success percentage. And with that, they got a 24-yard rush with Marshawn, and Luke Wilson caught a 2-point conversion. Luke Wilson, once again, a great clutch player.
Oh, that play was crazy. Russell Wilson was running around. He just threw it up.
Yeah.
It was
Luke Wilson is just amazing. I love Luke Wilson. But so then they were up at this point actually, 19-22. Mason Crosby had a field goal with 14 seconds left. Went to overtime. Seattle won the toss, and then Jermaine Kearse caught a 35-yard pass from Russell Wilson, and the Seahawks completed this huge comeback in the NFC Championship. It's just amazing when I think about it. Obviously,
how big was the comeback?
Well, it was They were 16-0. They were Packers were up 16-0 going in until the third quarter. 4 minutes to go.
I think it's crazier. Also, 19-7 with 3 minutes left. That's where it's the real.
19-7.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson had 5 picks, too.
Yeah, it was a terrible game for the Seahawks, offensively. But yeah, I mean, let's look at the stats real quick. Russell Wilson had 4 picks, 5 sacks. It was just not great. Marshawn Lynch had a monster game, 25 rushes for 157 yards. He had 2 total TDs, but Aaron Rodgers had a great game. Not great actually, 178 yards. But I remember watching this game, and I thought it was over by halftime, and then I started watching again in the fourth quarter. I still thought it was over, and then the Seahawks just came back somehow. And as a Niners fan, this was one of the. I just hated seeing the Seahawks win at this point, so I really didn't enjoy this game. But looking back,
And why did you choose that as one of your favorite games?
no, but I mean, at this point, I don't have that much hate for the Seahawks. I've actually come to, to like Russell Wilson.
Bro, you're okay.
I like
that's
Russell
fair.
Wilson.
That's fair. That's no, I do too. I thought you were gonna say you like the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think he's a top 3 quarterback right now. But at this time, I hate the Seahawks. I didn't like the Packers. I also think it's crazy that Mason Crosby made all of his field goals, 5 for 5.
And the good old days.
Yeah.
Wait, Mason's kind of a streaky kicker. I feel like there's been years where he's insane, and next year he's off. There's a reason he still has a job, is because he keeps on coming back.
Yeah, but haha in this game, haha Clint Dix. We love him on the pod, front of the pod. 2 picks. 2 picks of this game. But
2 picks for Dix.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, this game was interesting to see. One of the most impressive comebacks, especially in a NFC Championship. To think that the Packers won this game, there would have been a Brady-Rodgers showdown, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah, Brady-Rodgers showdown. Because I'm also, if you're talking about greatest games of the 2010s, I think number one for a lot of people is going to be, or not necessarily for everyone, right? But for a lot of people, it's going to be Seahawks Patriots. That was a great game. That wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. That's right. And also Patriots fans, also that Patriots Falcons game.
Yeah.
Another great comeback from the Patriots.
This game, I guess, in a way, is great because you love to see the Seahawks hearts get broken after losing in the Super Bowl. That must hurt more.
That's actually a good point.
That's true.
Okay, actually, I didn't think about
that. But I mean, I still would have preferred a Packers Patriots Super Bowl if I'm being honest. I would love to see Rodgers and Brady have a showdown.
And just for our Reddit viewers who might be Seahawks fans here, we respect the Seahawks, right? They are very good. They were very good. We're just Niner fans, right? So
yeah.
We're not
it's almost like it's
a mutual hate.
It was traumatic. It was traumatic to see the Seahawks, especially after that one NFC Championship with Sherman. But now that Sherman's on the team, a lot of time has passed. You kind of personally, I lost that PTSD whenever I see that Seahawks team play.
I mean, it's because, I don't have PTSD. I feel like that's
Sure, but like that hatred, that deep rooted hatred towards the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, sure. I see what you're saying. It's not like if you meet a Seahawks fan, it's not like you're gonna curse him out, right? It's like, oh wow, so what do you guys think about Russell?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's like you'll call him out. You'll be like, you're a piece of shit, right? But it's not like that's about it.
There's respect. There's still respect, but there's a hatred too.
Like you can understand.
I think now I have a lot more respect for the Seahawks, obviously. But back then I was a lot younger, and especially because that was my first Niners playoff peak, I guess. But time has passed, and I've come to like Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But
Russell
we should move on to the next game.
Yeah. That'll lead me to my final game, and this is more recent than the last one, 2018, and this is one that a lot of people are gonna remember. I feel like you have to remember this one, and I just happened to be the one that selected this, but I'm sure Trog, you said you wanted this one. Keshav, I'm sure you would have thought about this one too.
Yeah, came to my mind.
Chiefs Rams, right? So Chiefs Rams 2018. What can you say? There's too much that you can say, honestly.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Final score 54 Rams, 51 Chiefs. This was, in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes' is not his breakout game, but it was his real coming out party in the sense that it was a nationally televised game, and then they set all these records. Now, the only thing that could have changed is if they won, but he still did his job. And you look at the final stat line. Sorry?
It was a sign that this kid is he's for real. He's the shit.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not the future of the NFL. He's the NFL.
He is.
If he obviously he didn't win the Super Bowl this year, but good God, like his first year starting. And we'll talk about the Rams side too. They were amazing. Obviously, they won this game and they made the Super Bowl. But I'm looking at the Chiefs right now just because they're on the left-hand side of ESPN right now. So Mahomes, I'll give you a game summary in a little bit, but Mahomes had a 6-touchdown performance with 3 picks. The 3 picks, though, are kind of misleading. They came at bad times, but for the first 3.5 quarters of this game, Mahomes was 6-1. It's really impressive. Only had the 1 pick. And when you consider how much he was throwing, that's a pretty good ratio. The Rams had a good defense, too. Obviously, you have the big-time pressure from Aaron Donald and a really sound defensive backfield. But his second pick didn't come until late in the game where he threw a pass to his former teammate, Marcus Peters. So Marcus Peters, kind of a inconsistent cornerback, really good when he's at his best. Honestly, you can make an argument Marcus Peters is the best cornerback in the NFL when he's playing his best. And this game, at the very end, it was a 54-51 game, final score, right? And Mahomes was driving downfield, and he got them to midfield, throws a pass intercepted by Marcus Peters. The Rams tried running out the clock, but there was an offside or a false start penalty on their offensive line. And then Mahomes got the football back. Now, if we're talking about 2019, if we're talking about 2020, I don't think there's any chance that Mahomes blows 2 opportunities to score 3 points. There's no way. Like, I don't think any rational NFL fan would give the Rams any chance to make it or not make it to overtime, if you know what I'm saying. But the Rams defense does a good job. They pressure Mahomes in his own territory, and he throws his 3rd and final pick to Rams safety LaMarcus Joyner. And there's not a whole lot I can say about the rest of the game just because that's going to take up too much time. But there's so many touchdowns. Jared Goff had 4 on his end. The receivers did big time work. Like for the Rams, you had 3 guys with at least 6 catches. Cooks, Reynolds, Tyler Higbee had 6, and then Bobby Trees had 4 and a touchdown. And then on the end, from the Kansas City end, 215 yards from Tyreek and 127 from Travis Kelce, and 20 catches between those two. That is something you don't hear of a whole lot. But I don't know. What do you guys have to say about this game?
I mean,
for me, I remember I had a physics test in the coming days, so I was trying to study, but it was really tough.
You can't study while watching that.
This game was just amazing. Also this game I think all 3 of us had some fantasy implications, so it was important for us to watch. I remember I had Josh Reynolds, so it wasn't that exciting for me, but he turned out. I think let me just do the math. 20 points. He finished with 20 points, which was.
What do you mean not exciting? That's hella nice.
Yeah. So basically, every player that you start on either one of these teams would go off.
Other than one man.
Todd Gurley?
Probably the best. Yeah, so Todd, I mean, he wasn't okay. He had 6.9 plus 5.5. He had 12.4 fantasy points, which is, first of all, below his average for that season. And then when you consider this game, it's like, what the fuck?
I mean, Kareem had 20. That's
I had
pretty good.
Kareem, yeah. I love Kareem.
But I mean, this game was just, it was kind of like whoever got the ball last, or whoever got to score, would win this game. Obviously that crazy Gerald Everett touchdown. I think he spin? He spin at the end of the touchdown, something like that, or he broke a tackle. He
it was like on the sideline or something.
Tiptoed into the end zone at the end of the game. It was just crazy to see.
And you wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs scored in the next possession too, considering the way the game was going.
That's how.
That's what I'm saying, right? It's just like, how the hell?
After the 70 plus yard touchdown to Tyreek, I thought that Mahomes would do that once again, but there's only so much you can do, with such little time, especially when you need a deep shot down the field.
I also didn't mention this, but so I said Patrick Mahomes had 3 picks, but he also had 2 lost fumbles. So this Rams defense, despite giving up 51 points, kind of clutched up, right? So one of these, if one of those turnovers didn't happen, I'm sure that Mahomes would have found a way to punch it in.
They also got a strip touchdown, right? I believe Aaron Donald stripped the ball. Was it Brockers or something? Brockers that got touchdown? I don't know if they got touchdown, but they were at the goal line or something.
Yeah. Either way, this was like I can first tell what records this game set. This was the first ever game where both teams topped 50. It was the third highest scoring game in NFL history, and both teams combined for over 1,000 yards, or the teams combined for over 1,000 yards. But that wouldn't have been like the point totals wouldn't have been completed without the defense, which is a weird thing to say, but it is true, right? The defenses scored some of their own points, and it was a really impressive outing. It was actually Samson Ebukam who had the touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Also was. Yeah, go ahead.
He had a few. Samson Ebukam actually had 2 touchdowns this game.
Wow.
A pick six and a fumble return.
Yeah, I mean, it was also impressive that in the fourth quarter, 35 total points was scored. Just an amazing finish to this. My opinion, one of the most exciting games of this decade. Obviously, the highest scoring offensively. I think, I'm not sure, but
of the decade.
Yeah,
it must be a decade.
Yeah, but this is just great to see, especially this is Mahomes in a way coming out party. I guess like we knew coming to this game, we knew that it would be a crazy game because both these offenses were doing really well. Todd Gurley was having a great season, and Patrick Mahomes was coming out to have one of the best, I guess, first year showcases. But yeah, this was amazing game, best Monday night of all time.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, literally the best Monday night, highest scoring ever. But I'll transition to K-Shop now.
Yeah. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into the full game because especially it wasn't really this game that I'm going to be talking about. It wasn't very crazy up until the last 2 minutes. So it's Packers Cardinals divisional playoff again. Another divisional playoff, 2015. Now this season the Cardinals were really good. The Packers not as much. They were 10-6. The Cardinals were 13-3 this season. This was, I think, the season Carson Palmer was in the MVP running. He was really good this season. Was he in the MVP voting this year?
Yeah, he was.
He was, right? Yeah. And this game, the Cardinals had the lead, 20-13 with 2 minutes remaining. And Aaron Rodgers, I think earlier this season, he had thrown that crazy Hail Mary to what's his name? The tight end. I mean, okay, he threw
Richard Rodgers.
Richard Rodgers, right? And against the Lions. And you knew he had this ability to throw super deep. So the first crazy play is on a 4th and 20 at their own 5-yard line. 4th and 20, he throws it deep to Jeff Janis, who catches it around midfield. And then 2 plays after that, they are around midfield again. With time expiring, throws another deep bomb to Jeff Janis, who catches it again, right? So not only did he throw another Hail Mary for the win, but on this possession itself, he threw 2 Hail Marys. He threw 2 of them across the full. Yeah, what?
How many yards did Jeff Janis have this one game?
He had 145. I think 100 of them came from that possession.
And it's kind of funny. 2015, that entire season, he only had 79 receiving yards.
Oh my God. That entire possession made up his more than all the yards. That's crazy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, what happens in overtime is, it's crushing for the Packers, but it's an ecstatic moment for the Cardinals here. You first have this big pass to Larry Fitz, who's had this great run after the catch, gets them to the Packers 5-yard line, and then he wins the game on a shovel catch. And that previous play was just crazy. You should see him the way he navigates the field. He goes from the left side to the right side, and 75 yards. Right side to the left side. He just keeps on changing direction, following his blockers. It's just classic Larry Fitz right there. And in fitting fashion, he ends the game with a touchdown. And the Cardinals move on to the NFC Championship, which was a disappointing game for them. But it was an overall just I think, the beginning of the game the first 3 quarters aren't something super spectacular. But those last 2 minutes in overtime are what make it so special.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the best Larry Fitz moments in his career.
Definitely. Other than the Super Bowl in 43. You know, he had some great moments there, but
He was 32 years old at this time. He was still in his prime.
Well,
He was still performing at a
Larry's
very high
prime is
level.
longer than most people's, so
Yeah,
I can see the argument.
it was super impressive. Just the way he navigated the field. He's not known for his speed, but he still got them to the 5-yard line, and then that crazy shovel pass. Looking at the film, I wouldn't expect the Cardinals to go right back, the Cardinals to go right back to Larry Fitz. That's what they did, and they got the touchdown right after.
And speaking of, you were talking about Larry Fitz's prime. It's almost like he went into like these next 3 seasons, almost like a second prime, I guess. It was like another great stretch. 2015, he had like 1,200 yards, his first 1,000-yard season since 2011. So he returned back to being like the guy, especially with Carson Palmer at center, who was an amazing quarterback that season.
And I'm gonna blame Larry's prime, or in between his quote unquote 2 primes. If we're looking at like 2011 to, or not 2011, like 2012 to 2014, right? The 3 years where he was less than 1,000, 100%, like all of the blame for those 3 years goes on the quarterback.
Definitely.
His 2 primes were built around Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer. You give this guy a good to great quarterback, and he's going to give you great to excellent numbers.
He'll produce. Who knows what's going to happen next year with Kyler Murray? A developing young star. Now he has D-Hop too. May take the load off of him for this receiving core. Christian Kirk, Larry Fitz, DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean it's a wide receiver heavy offense.
Yeah.
Spread offense.
Yeah, I mean maybe in the future we can look at Larry Fitz's career. I mean, obviously it's not over, but it's just amazing to see how he's throughout the year. He's just been amazing. But yeah, this game was one of my favorite Larry Fitz moments, wide receiver moments in general. Really put the team on his back.
Yeah.
Where were you guys at?
Aaron Rodgers moment too, I would say. Just that 100 yards down the field, crazy.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I feel like the
Jennings,
bigger wide receiver moment was Jeff Janis. Which is more memorable, right? It was such a
in my opinion,
yeah.
Best wide receiver moment is Greg Jennings.
No, I was talking about in this game.
I just mean when Greg Jennings put the team on his back.
He put the team on his back though. Yeah.
Yeah, just a great moment.
Fucking Darren Sharper, bro. Darren Sharper.
Darren the hot safeties of the league.
I don't know if we can put that up because of copyright issues. I don't know, but we'll look into that.
That's tough.
Yeah. And before I think we call this, I will say, Trog, I think there's no issue with talking about Larry Fitz in a later episode. We've already talked about Dwight Howard.
Yeah, Larry Fitz is great. Fun to talk about.
Yeah, he has a lot of content there too.
Many years in the league. Yeah.
But I think this was a pretty good episode. We actually went about 15 to 20 minutes over our kind of general target. I think that was a good thing. We got a lot of games in here, a lot of good content. If you guys have anything else to add, feel free to butt in here. But I think that'll just about do it for the 16th episode of DTP. All right, we'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.